Okay, my name is Andy Lee, and I will be presenting the DHCP for our company design. So, what is DHCP? It's the process of registering the DHCP servicing in an Active Directory service domain to support DHCP clients. The DHCP authorization is only for DHCP service running Windows 2003 and Windows 2000 in Active Directory. And our requirement was to authorize the DHCP server by using a user account that has appropriate permission. By default, only members of the enterprise administrator group can authorize DHCP service. Why use DHCP? There are two reasons. DHCP reduces the complexity and amount of administrative effort that is involved in reconfiguring the computer. The second reason is the DHCP provides the client with an IP address and a subnet mask. DHCP option allow you to configure additional IP address data for DHCP clients. Reservation. A reservation is a permanent IP address assignment. It is a specified IP address within a scope that is permanently reserved for lease to a specific DHCP clients. And DHCP option, you can configure permit that a DHCP server assigns to a client when it assigns the IP address and default gateway. Authorization, DHCP allow you to control the addition of the DHCP service to the domain. The DHCP service controls the IP addressing configurations for all DHCP clients in a given network environment to clients' computers. It is critical that you have control over all the DHCP service on your network. And DHCP scope, you can configure a scope on the DHCP service to determine the pool or the IP address that the service can assign to the DHCP clients. A scope is used to determine which IP addresses are allocated to the clients. You must define and activate a scope before DHCP clients can use the DHCP service for dynamic TCP IP configuration. And the relay agent is a computer or router that listens for DHCP BOOTP broadcast from DHCP clients and then relay message. And I'm going to show this is how we assign all the IP address to our computer. And we have like 2,200 user machine out there, and this is one of the main domain control and assign the IP address into it. And what it is, I will scoping the, in case one of these domain control fail, right? I scoping this to the next domain control, which is the RS. And we assign about 100 IP address into one of these RS. In case it fails, the user machine will pick up from there instead of the main control that has been down. So basically this is, and I will turn over to TJ for the DNS service.
Hi, I'm TJ. All right, talking about DNS. What is DNS? DNS is what resolves human readable host names into IP addresses. It's like the phone book for the internet or an intranet. Names are much easier to remember, like going to Microsoft.com instead of remembering the IP address. Does anyone know the IP address for Microsoft.com? Peter, I saw him, he's smiling. Anyways, you guys couldn't remember all IP addresses, so DNS does that. In our design, we placed the DNS service on both domain controllers. Reason being, we choose to use DNS Active Directory integrated, and Active Directory is only available on a domain controller. With Active Directory integrated, you have the ability to replicate records simultaneously, and you also have the option of a secured update. If one domain controller were to fail, Active Directory makes a read-write copy to the domain controller in Active Directory, so the records could still be edited. We could have also chosen to use stub zones, secondary zones, and forwarding. Stub zones use very little bandwidth and automatically updates, but it would not provide enough fault tolerance. Because subzones do not contain all host records, it only contains records of DNS servers that are authoritative for that particular zone. Therefore, stub zones need to go to a specific DNS server. For name resolution, if that specific server went down, we get no name resolution, which isn't good. Secondary zone backs up enough information that if one server were to go down, the secondary zone could still be used to resolve names. It would take up a lot of bandwidth and cause excess traffic because zone sync involves the entire zone database. However, it can provide more fault tolerance than stub zones because it will contain all host records. Forwarding. When you point to a separate server to resolve names, all servers would have to be set manually as well as manually changed and updated. It sends a request to another DNS server. If we know the DNS that is authority for the domain, we can apply conditional forwarding. In the process of DNS name resolution in our design, the resolver cache checks the local server to see if the name has recently been resolved. Host file, a file where records are placed to point to a specific server, DNS server, a file or a server that would hold all the DNS information for a specific network. And up next will be Josh. Pringle like the chip.
My name's Josh. I'll be talking about our Win servers. We implemented our Win servers on our domain controller in AFP US Inc. and AFP EU Inc. because those were our main ones. We set that up to help with name resolution through the NetBIOS name in case names could not be resolved through the DNS for whatever reason. This would help with queries being out there waiting to get resolved. They can just go to the Win server and get an IP address through that. We set them up as push-pull replication so they'll be constantly updated. We also use Wins because it helps with older versions of Windows products and non-Windows products. To configure that with non-products, if we were to buy a different company that already had different systems, we'd go in through the registry and set up our Wins relay and get that all taken care of. This also helped with LM hosts. We wouldn't have to deal with that and go around to every computer and configure LM host files to get the NetBIOS names. Now, Andy will talk about RRAS.
I'm Andy Duncan. I'll talk to you guys about the RRAS servers. We implemented RRAS onto the domains, duplicate servers in each domain for redundancy and fault tolerance. One of the reasons we used RRAS was, well, the main reason we used RRAS is what we had. It was what High gave us to use. Didn't provide us with any other routing options. So one of the reasons we're going to use it integrates well with the group policies and security accounts. Go ahead, click it.